this portion of Vayetze, there's a lot to talk about, a lot to get to, and as much as we want to get into like Laban and Jacob and Laban and the sheep and the wives and the kids and the tribes, I don't think we're going to make it there tonight. There's some things when we were looking at even just him preparing to go out there and just the things involving the vision, the dream that he had, I think are relevant to what we're seeing and things that we need to know in the time that we're in. So that's kind of where we're going to focus most of these things tonight, is right in that area. Now remember, to kind of set everything up, remember we've got Vayetze and he went out, that's the name of the parsha, but remember why he left. He's leaving because his brother wants to kill him. That's not a good thing, okay? And he wants to kill him because his father says, hey, I'm getting old and I can barely see and I'm going to be dying soon. And if you do the math, you find out he lived quite a bit longer. But, it's like, okay, and I'm going to be dying soon and I want to bless you before I die. So he wants to bless Esav, and Esav, remember, he surrendered his birthright. He says, you tricked me. No, he kind of forsook it because he despised it. It didn't mean anything to him. Notice it didn't mean anything to him until it came time when he felt it was useful. Right? But no. So he despised his birthright and he surrendered it. He gave it away for nothing, really. And then came time for this blessing, and then he doesn't get this blessing, which the blessing and the birthright should go together. They should go hand in hand, but he didn't. So therefore, he's angry, and he wants to kill his brother. And he says he comforted himself with these words: when Dad dies, I'm going to kill him. Wow, that's some that's comforting yourself in brotherly love. What can you say? That's not the kind of brotherly love we should be exhibiting. Okay, but the point is, this is why he's leaving. Now, his mother says, well, I need to find a way for his safety to get him out of here, so he should. It's time anyway. He should go find a bride. So I'm going to send him back to my brother, and so he can find a bride. And she goes to Yitzhak and says, hey, if Yaakov marries one of these women from around this area, it's gonna be terrible. It'll just kill me if he does that, right? Which, by the way, now Esau goes right out and marries one because he heard him say that, so it kind of shows something about him. But remember, Isaac didn't really know all this backstory here. He didn't really know that Jacob's mom was kind of protecting him and wanting to send him away. And so she kind of goes to Yitzhak and says, hey, if he marries a bride from around here, it'll just kill me. And she kind of alludes to the fact that Isaac has, hey, I have a great idea. Let's send him to your dad's house to get a bride. And he's like, oh, that's a great idea. It's like, huh. that's kind of smart, right? Made him think it's his idea to go get a bride. But anyway, so they go out, and this is the point. So he's being sent out. He's kind of being kicked out, really. In a manner of speaking, he's being exiled out of his home. And so you can imagine the things that he's going through. Okay, I've got this birthright that Esau didn't want and despised anyway. I've got this blessing that goes with it. Why am I the one leaving home? Think about it. Why am I the one that's being exiled? Why am I the one that's being sent away, and when my brother's anger subsides, I can return? Why am I the one that's being kind of punished here? And so there's a lot of questions that's going on and things. You can imagine if you were in the same situation, right? What did I do? From the beginning, when we were in the womb, God said I was going to be the one with the birthright and the blessing anyway. So what's going on, right? You ever get in those ideas where you go, okay, God, I don't get it. What are you doing here, right? But God uses this. And in this, we see an example of things that happen all throughout Scripture and even in the time that we're seeing now. Okay, so it's a very prophetic event. You ready to get into it? All right, Vayetze, Genesis 28:10. So Yaakov went out from Beersheba, and he traveled towards Haran. So we see Yaakov went. Now, this is a positive and a negative side we see on this. On the negative side, he's being exiled. He's fleeing Esau. He's fleeing away from his brother because of his brother's anger. But on the positive side of that, he's going with a purpose to build his family. Remember what he says, yes, you're being sent out, you're being sent away, and we don't know for how long, but while you're there, you're going to get your bride, you're going to build your family, you're going to start your job, you're going to do all this stuff, and when the time is right, then you can return. So this is a positive and a negative thing. But we still, in the midst of situations like this, where do we tend to keep our focus? On the negative. right? And that's what we're going to address. From this, we get the idea of exile for restoration. I want to read you something, a traditional thought from the Babylonian Talmud. I'll take Brad Scott's view on this. I don't quote the rabbis much unless they agree with me. Okay, but there are some things we can find in here that we actually see some good stuff. Okay, traditional thought. Rabbi Eliezer said, "The Holy One, blessed be He, did not exile Israel among the nations, save in order that proselytes might join them. For it is said, and I will sow her unto me in the land," from Hosea 2:25. "Surely a man sows a seah in order to harvest many core." The idea is, though you sow, you will reap a bigger harvest after you sow, God willing, right? And so when Israel was exiled, when the 10 tribes were scattered and exiled into all the world, the idea is that they would help to spread the word of Yah, to be a people of Yah, and when they return, they will be multiplied in number. So when they were exiled, actually the purpose of them being exiled was to help spread seed all over the face of the earth. Okay? Deuteronomy 30, verse 1. "And it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon you, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before you, and you shall call them to mind among who? All the nations, where what? Where the Lord your God has driven you, and you shall, what? Return unto the Lord thy God, and you shall obey his voice according to all that I command you this day, you, your children, with all your heart and with all your soul, that then the Lord your God will turn your captivity, he will turn your captivity, reverse your captivity, and have compassion on you, and he will return and gather you from where? From all the nations where the Lord your God has scattered you." See, the idea is just because they were scattered, does that mean when they're brought back it's going to be the exact number? Or when they're scattered, are they sown like seeds across all the world so that when they return, there's also a harvest and a crop that comes back with them? See, that's the idea. He's going by himself. Now notice, it's not like when Eliezer was sent to get a bride, for Isaac, because when he went with the camels and the jewels and all the stuff, and this was awesome, right? Yaakov is leaving. What does he have? Nothing. Nothing save probably the clothes on his back and maybe a lunchbox. Nothing. He has a promise, he has a blessing, but he has nothing. There's nothing physical that he's taking with him. He's just being sent. I'm sure he had enough food for the journey, but as far as he's got nothing else to show. He has to go there, build his life for the purpose of being in a place when he can return. Much like the exile, isn't it? Jeremiah 31:10. "Hear the word of the Lord, O you nations, and declare it in the isles far off." Declare it in the isles where? In the islands afar off. The idea is to the ends of the earth. And say, "He that scattered Israel will gather him and keep him as the shepherd does his flock." Ezekiel 11:17. "Therefore say, thus says the Lord God, I will even gather you from the people and assemble you out of the countries where you have been scattered, and I will give you the land of Israel." Now, see, this one right here sounds a little more specific to the promises he gave to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? A little more detail in that. This land, this place where you are, this is going to be your land for you and your descendants, right? Ezekiel 28:25. "Thus says the Lord God, when I shall have scattered the house of Israel from the people among whom they are scattered, and shall be sanctified in them in the sight of the heathen, then shall they dwell in their land that I have given to my servant Jacob." That ties in with this week's Parsha. Matthew 15:24. Yeshua says, "I am not sent but to whom? The lost sheep of the house of Israel." John 10:16. "And other sheep I have which are not of this fold, and also I must bring them, and they shall hear my voice, and there shall be one fold, one shepherd." There are sheep that were scattered all over the world that need to be regathered, that need to be brought back. Okay? This is what we're looking at. And we see that in this picture in this week's Parsha, as Jacob is leaving, but he's leaving with the hope of being able to return. When does he return? When his brother's anger is subsided, God willing. Does that ever happen? No. But we do see that there is a point, even though that when they return and when they come back, it's not really reconciliation, but they do learn to at least be in some vicinity of each other. Right? Not getting to that this week. Anyway, John 11:49. One of them named Caiaphas, being the high priest that same year, said to them, "You know nothing at all, nor consider that it is expedient for us that one man should die for the people, and that the whole nation perish not." And this he spake not of himself, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Yeshua would die for that nation. Verse 52. And not for that nation only, but also he should gather together in one the children of God that were what? Scattered abroad. And we see the whole idea of the exile was not to keep people in exile. The whole idea of exile is to plant seeds, to sow seeds, so that they can reap a harvest and return. And that's important to know in these last days. Because what we're looking for is a people that are returning to the Lord God, His heart, His ways, His people, His kingdom. Right? So Yaakov went out from Beersheba and he traveled toward Haran. Beersheba is the well of the oath, and Haran means a dry place. Now think about this. He's going from the well of the oath. This is an awesome place. This is a good place to be, right? And he's going out and he's going to a dry place. A place where he had plenty of water. The well of the oath, the blessing, the promises of God. Every time you went to the well, it was a reminder. And he's going towards Haran. A dry, parched place. Kind of remind you of something else? How about this? Luke 4:1. Yeshua, filled with the Ruach HaKodesh, returned from the Jordan, and then he was led by the Spirit into the wilderness. He went from the Jordan after he was baptized, right? And then he went from that place out into the wilderness. Kind of the idea here. He went from where he had the water, where he had the well, where he had this refreshing, and where the water of life filled him, but then he was going into a dry place to make preparation for what was to come. Genesis 28:11, and he lighted to a certain place, and he came to a certain place. This is really interesting in itself, okay? Because where it says, and he came to a certain place, the word came is pagah, and it means to intercede or to pray. This is why they say, the evening prayers, they pray in the evening because Jacob prayed in the evening, right? When did he come to this place? The sun was setting, so the evening prayers. And so here we have the idea of as he comes to this place, what does he do? You think that maybe before he lies down, you think maybe he prayed? Think maybe he kind of, at the very least, referenced and spoke to Yah and said, I don't know what you're doing or why, but I'm feeling kind of confused. Maybe that's why Yah addressed him in the vision, in the dream. Maybe he was praying. Maybe he was interceding. And then look at this. A certain place is Bamakom. Ba-makom. Ba is in the place. Makom. It's not just a place. It's in the place. What place is that? It's kind of a specific place. In other words, he was not here by accident. This was a place that he was brought to. This was not just a place where he just happened to stop for the night. This was a place where Yah had ordained him to be at the time he was there. Okay? And Bamakom, Makom is also used in reference to Yah himself. It's called one of the names of God, and you won't really see it in there. It's just the way that they reference him. They reference him as Makom because he is the place where our presence should be. He is everywhere. He is the place. Okay? And also referencing the temple. Makom, the place. Right? There's so many times, I didn't count them, but as you're reading through this week's Parsha, there are so many times you see this word. That it's trying to get our attention. Okay? There's something specific about this place that Yah wants us to see. Are we going to approach it with our eyes open or shut, per se? Because either way, I think we can see it. Right? We look at this, Genesis 28:11. And he stayed the night there because the sun had set. Now think about this. One of those things where the physical kind of shows how we're feeling and within ourselves. He's being exiled. He doesn't know what's going on. And it's kind of like as he's leaving and the sun is set. And it's not like one of those, at the end of the Western where the cowboy's riding off in the sunset kind of a thing. That's not it. It's just showing off, it's loneliness. He's going, the light is dissipating and the darkness is coming on. And he doesn't know where his life is going. And he's being exiled. He's being sent away. And God said he was going to have the birthright and the blessing. And he got it, but look at what's happening to him now. Kind of gives us eyes to see and hear too. God says he will bless you when you have the birthright in the Messiah and you have the blessings and you have all this great stuff. But it doesn't mean the sun's never going to set on you. It doesn't mean you're never going to have any hard times. It doesn't mean that you're always going to understand exactly what's happening. Okay? It means we need to learn to trust. We need to learn to have faith. Even when it seems like it's getting dark, we need to have faith. We need to trust. Okay? Because you think as he's walking into this place, he could be tempted to say within himself, okay, so everything's, just the light's going away, it's getting dark. Is this the way my life is going to be from this point forward? I have everything and I have nothing. Right? John 9:4 says, I must work the works of him that sent me while it is day, because the night comes when no man can work. It's not like, when they were out working in the fields and it started to get a little dark, they could string up lights. Yeah, let's take a bunch of torches out into the... No, you don't want to do that either. See, so you work in the day because the night was coming when no man can work. And that's the idea here. He's like, God, I'm trying to work in the day and do stuff in the day, and at night I've got nothing. What can I do here? So he has to trust in Yah, right? All right. So he took a stone from the place. Okay? It's Vayechach ma'avnei hamakom. He took a stone from the place, and he put it under his head, and he lay down there to sleep. Now, this is even down to the time of day when he's here, even down to what is happening here. And many believe that some of the stones in this area were taken for the temple. Okay? So here he's resting his head on a stone. Kind of the idea of we should be resting on the stone as well. Right? The word for stone is Evan. Evan. In the word Evan, we have a picture of here, Evan, right? Aleph, Bet, Nun, Sofit. So Aleph, Bet is what word? Av. Av is what? Father. Then we have Bet, Nun. Ben. What's Ben? Son. So in the word Evan, we have a picture of father and son being connected by the Bet. What's Bet? House. So we have a picture of the father and son being connected in the house as he lays his head on the stone in the place that he calls Beit El, house of God. So in the house of God, as he lays his head on the stone, that stone is a picture of the father and son being connected in the house. Think about that for a minute. Isaiah 28:16. Therefore, here is what Adonai Elohim says. Look, I am laying in Zion a tested stone, a costly cornerstone, a firm foundation stone. And he who trusts will not rush here and there. He who trusts and has faith will not be running back and forth and unstable, but will rest on that stone and be assured and have security. Luke 20:17. Yeshua looked searchingly at them and said, and this is what is written in the Tanakh, the very rock which the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. Whoever falls on that stone will be broken in pieces. But if it falls on him, he will be crushed to powder. So here we have Yaakov not falling on the stone, but resting on the stone. See? Resting on that cornerstone. It gives the idea of having faith and having trust on that solid foundation. Right? Genesis 28:12. And he slept, he dreamed of a stairway. Stairway? The stairway to heaven. Okay. That reached from the earth up to heaven, and he saw the angels of God going up and down on the stairway. Now, no, it says ladder. Well, that's the thing, guys. The word that's used there can be translated either or. Okay? Look at this. John 1:49. Nathanael said, Rabbi, you are the Son of God. You are the King of Israel. And Yeshua answered, saying, you believe all this just because I told you I saw you under the fig tree? you will see greater things than that. And then he said to him, yes, indeed, I tell you, you will see what? Heaven opened, and see what? The angels of God doing what? Going up and coming down on the Son of Man. So the heavens will be open, and the angels will be ascending and descending on him. Okay? The word for ladder is sulam. It's a staircase or a ladder. From the word salal, which means something that is mound up or something that is cast up. Okay, something that is raised up. So it could be staircase or it could be ladder. Either way fits, honestly, guys. It doesn't affect it theologically either way, okay? It's just, the point is, it goes from here to there. It's a connecting point. It's what connects earth and heaven. That's the important part. And Yeshua says, you will see angels ascending and descending on the Son of Man. What did he see? He saw the ladder, and he saw angels ascending and descending on it. Yeshua is the ladder. And he said, you will see the angels ascending and descending on it, on him. And it said he saw Yahweh standing above or on the ladder. He was the ladder. All right? Yeshua is the ladder, and the angels ascend and descend on him. Hebrews 1:14. So what are the angels then? They are spirits who serve God and are sent by him to help those who are to receive salvation. Wow. Aleph is another representation of the ladder. Okay, because you have Aleph, it's also used to describe Yahweh and Yeshua. Something interesting, to write the letter Aleph, you can't write it with just one swoop of your pencil or your pen. You have to write it in 3 separate, distinct markings. But to write it in 3 separate, distinct markings, you write it so it's a way that it's one letter, it's one, but in order to make it, in order to see it, you have to see it in the 3 pieces. All different strokes, but all one letter. We also see that in Echad. Echad doesn't mean one. It means a unified whole one. Okay? And the Et, the Aleph Taf, and Adonai. And here we have just a picture, just so you can see. The Aleph, the ladder, and the angels ascending and descending on him. Pretty cool, huh? So what we have here, and what he's telling him, is that the promise is reconfirmed to Yaakov. The promise is reconfirmed to Jacob. We see in Genesis 28:13, behold, the Lord stood above it, and he said, I am the Lord, the God of Abraham your father, the God of Yitzhak. The land whereon you lie, to you will I give it, and to your seed. That's the idea of where you're at. This is exactly what I've told you. The land that's here, you have the promise. You have the birthright. The land, I will give you the land. But to fulfill that promise, you first have to go so that you can return. Okay? So your seed will be as the dust of the earth, and, look at this, you will what? Spread abroad to the west, and to the east, and to the north, and to the south. In you and in your seed will all the families of the earth be blessed. Where he has, you will spread abroad, is ufaratzta, and it's from the word paratz, which means to break out, to spread out, or breaking down barriers. The idea is when they spread out, they're going to spread out so much in numbers, it's not going to look like just, okay, you're going to spread out to this area right there. It's going to be everywhere. Like wildfire kind of a thing, you know? It's just going to be everywhere. And it's just going to continue to spread, okay? So he says, your descendants will spread out and will spread abroad. Notice one thing he said first is and they will spread out to the west. Interesting, right? So we have this. And in your seed will all the families of the earth be blessed. Kind of sounds like what he said to Avram, doesn't it? Matter of fact, it is what he said to Avram. We read it, Genesis 12:2. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, curse him that curseth thee, and in thee shall all the families of the earth be. Little something about that last word, blessed, right there. We read that word blessed is vanivrachu. Vanivrachu. Okay? The root of vanivrachu is the same as the root mavrik, to graft. And in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed, or can also read, shall all the families of the earth be grafted. Now we go to Galatians chapter 3, verses 8, 14, 28, 29. And then we go to Romans chapter 11, Ephesians chapter 2, right? Okay. 5 places in the Talmud and other rabbinic literature, nivrahu is translated as grafted or intermingled. In the Orthodox Jewish Art Scroll Tanakh series, it is written. Orthodox, okay, right? Says this. There was an opinion shared by Rashbam, Chizkani, the Aszeknim, and quoted by Tur, that the verb v'nivrahu in Genesis 12:3 is related to the root barach, and in the Mishnaic term mavrik, meaning to intermingle or to graft. The Hebrew word nivrahu is the nifal conjunction of the root word barak. Literally it can read, and in you all the nations of the earth will be born through mixing or grafting. Pretty neat, right? So what is happening, the promise is reconfirmed. God is telling Yaakov, the promise that I gave to Avraham is the promise that was passed to Yitzhak and is the same promise you have. And even though it might not look like it, even though you're having to go through something right now, it's all part of the plan. God will use it. Right? Genesis 28:13, verse 15. Behold, I am with you, and I will keep you wherever you go, and will bring you again to this land, for I will not leave you until I have done that which I have spoken. Notice God is saying, I will keep you. Right? Notice later when Yaakov is talking to Yahweh, he says, if you will keep me. He's not just saying something new or asking God for something God didn't promise. He's actually saying, okay, God, you said this, so since you're doing that, see, he wasn't trying to twist God's arm to try to negotiate with him. He was actually reconfirming the words that God said to him and says, since this is what you say you're going to do for me, then I will. Okay, this is what he was doing. In other words, though exile is current, there is a great return of you and those added to you while exiled, be they family or flock. Be they family, servants, or flock. Those that are grafted into your household, even though not part of your family, still to be part of your family. Right? All right, verse 16. Yaakov awoke from his sleep and he said, truly Adonai is in this place and I didn't know it. How many of you guys have seen God is right in front of you doing something amazing and you missed it? It's kind of what was going on. He's like, I didn't realize what was happening, but here it is. Here it's happening, and I didn't know, but yet here he is. And this is interesting. The word for know is yada. Yada means to have an intimate relationship with another person, an idea, or an experience. Now, if we look at this, the Paleo-Hebrew would look like this. It is the hand that opens the door or gate to see. Yada is to intimately know something. In other words, something is there. You don't know what it is until the door is open. You don't know what's on the other side of the door until you open it. Okay? So to know is to have the hand to go through the door to see what's on the other side. Okay? Does this sound like something you know? And he became afraid and he said, this place is fearsome. It has to be the house of God. This is the gate of heaven. Yaakov was the first to express the phrase house of God. This is the house of God, the gate of heaven. It shows us the idea that Yahweh is to be sought after. He is to be looked for wholeheartedly, because if we're not careful and we're not searching for him or looking for him, we could miss it. God was here, and I didn't know it. I don't know which is worse. The fact that he showed up and we didn't know he was there, or the fact that we didn't know he was there and he showed up. Right? So the idea is we should search for him diligently, and what better way to search for him than to be at his house, or better yet, be a house for him to dwell. Right? The house of God and gate of heaven. Beit El, Bethel. Okay, Beit El is house of God. Sha'ar is gate. So in order to get to the house, you have to go through the gate, through the door, to enter the house. What is supposed to be on the gates and on the doors? The mezuzah. containing of what? The Shema. The idea is the word is on the gates and on the doors. In order to get to the house, you have to go through the gate for the word, and then go to the house where it has the word and the blood that had been applied. Remember Pesach? And the blood that was applied to the door. So who is the gate and the door? John 10:7. Yeshua said to them, "Yes, indeed, I tell you, I am the gate for the sheep." It says the adversary comes to steal, kill, and destroy, right? He tries to get in through any other means. Guys, the door is the authorized entryway or exit out of the home. Yes? If someone's trying to sneak in your house, they don't normally just try to just walk right in the front door. The authorized entry and exit is through the door. If you don't go through the door, maybe it's not authorized, right? 8. All those who have come before me have been thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not listen to them. Thank God for that. Then he says, I am the gate. If someone enters through me, he will be safe and will go in and out and find pasture. The thief comes only in order to steal, kill, and destroy. And I have come so they may have life, life in its fullest measure. Amen. Back to Genesis 28. So Yaakov got up early in the morning. He took the stone that he had under his head. He set it up as a standing stone. He set it up as a memorial, and he poured oil on it. Now, the oil should seep into the stone, right? It stands as a memorial. And he named the place Beit El, house of God. But the town had originally been called Luz. Luz. Luz, it's an almond tree. What was Aaron's rod from? An almond tree, and it was an almond staff. What does the almond tree represent, or the rod represent? The authority that God gave. Remember the whole deal with Korah? He said, take the rods and then put them before the Lord, and then on the rods are the names of the tribes. For the tribe of Levi, right, Aaron? And then what happened to Aaron's rod? Yeah, it came to life, it budded, it sprouted, it produced flowers and fruit. And God said, this is the one that I have chosen. And it was Aaron's rod that budded. What was the fruit that was on it? Almonds. It was an almond rod. Okay? So in other words, the house of God was built on the authority that he gave. Yeshua says, he came and he talked with them and he said, all authority in heaven and earth has been given to whom? And given to him. And you know, there's many places where he says, all authority in heaven and earth has been given to him, therefore. What are we supposed to do about it? All authority in heaven and earth has been given to him, so I guess we have nothing. Wrong. You're joint heirs with him. And whatever the Father gave to him, he gave to you. And so if the authority in heaven and earth has been given to him, what is he giving to you? Authority to act on his behalf. The only thing is, make sure you are. You got to keep in line with his word, what it said, right? Okay, here's something I want to show you. This is modern Bethel. Okay? This is modern Bethel. If you look, it's kind of hard to tell right here. If you want to see a closer look at this after, you come see me and I'll show you a better map of that. You know, a little, you know, you can probably see it a little better there. But this is modern Bethel. Jerusalem is down this way. Okay? So if you look in this area right here, you'll see something neat in this area of Bethel. If you look, you will see, right here you might be able to see a little better. Yod, He, Vav, He. We read in Deuteronomy 12:5, but unto the place which the Lord your God shall choose out of all your tribes to what? Put his name there. Even unto his habitation shall you seek, and there you shall come. Now, I know they didn't have Google Maps back then, but I think God meant what he said anyway. He said to a place where he puts his name. If you look, it's kind of hard to see on the slide, but if you want to see it closer up, you can see it there. Okay? You'll see Yod, He, Vav, He in the area in between Bethel and Jerusalem. Here you might be able to see it a little better. Okay? Now, Yahweh also resembles the word Yahid. Yahid also looks similar to the word Yahid. Genesis 22:2, and they said, take now your son, your only son. Your only son is Yahid, means your only unique son. This is a picture of Yeshua. So here we have written in the hills in the area a picture that represents Yahweh and Yahid, the only unique Son, and a place where his name is. It's an amazing picture, isn't it? All right, verse 20. So Yaakov took this vow and he said, if God will be with me, and will guard me, this kind of sounds like he's really doubting, doesn't it? Remember what I said earlier. He's kind of repeating back to God what God already said. God already said, I will guard you. God already said, I will keep you. So he's kind of reiterating back to the Father, saying, okay, since you have said this, is what he's really kind of saying here. Okay? Is if you will be with me and guard me on this road that I'm traveling, giving me bread to eat and clothes to wear. What's he asking for? He's asking for great riches and an awesome job and, no, he's just asking for his daily essentials. Nothing extravagant, just his daily essentials. And then he says this, if you will guard me, to keep me, what he says here is ushmarani, okay? This word shamar is to guard or protect, but what's shem? Name, character. Part of God's name and character is to keep and to guard and protect his people. Much like we read in the Aaronic blessing, Yivarechecha Yahweh v'yishmerecha. May the Lord bless you and what? Keep you. It's not just a matter of keep you safe and from harm, and yes, that's true, but the idea as well is keep his shem, his character. As I go into this place of uncertainty and don't know exactly what I'm getting myself into, preserve my reputation. May I keep myself, my character, upright before you in front of these people. And what was Lavan's testimony to Yaakov? I'm blessed because of you. I'm blessed because your God blesses you. I think God kept his word, don't you? So we read, continuing on, so that I return to my father's house in peace, and Adonai will be my God. The whole idea of going out and doing this was so that he would return to his father's house. Even though he's gone, his desire is to return to his father's house. He's not being sent out as a prodigal. He's being sent out to build the place, to prepare the means to return and to come back. And that's the plan, that there's a time coming when he will return to his father's house. What was he asking for? In essence, his daily bread. What he would need day by day in order to live, sustain life, and serve Yah. That's all he was asking for. Give me the means to do what you're asking me to do. Give me the means so that I can serve you. Give me the means so that I can bless you. Give me the means so that I can help those around me. That's what he was asking for. He's asking for what he needs to serve Yah so that he can go back to his father's house. Kind of makes me think of I was glad when they said to me, let us go to the house of the Lord, right? All right, 22. And this stone which I have set up as a standing stone will be God's house. Beit Elohim. And the stone will be God's house. And of everything you give me, I will faithfully return a tenth to you. The idea is, this is where, like I said earlier, they believe that some of the stones in this area was actually taken and used for the temple or the altar or in this area, because he says, this stone will be the house of God. Used for part of the house of God. Possible? Sure. The stone stands as a reminder that Yahweh is a dwelling place to his people. And times, we need memorials. Let's face it, we do. We shouldn't, but we do. There are some times when we need some things to remind us of what the Father has promised us. Because we forget, right? Because when we get involved in life circumstances and things happen, we see what's right in front of us and we forget the goal. And so we need things sometimes to see the goal. And so what Jacob said is, I will go, I will do the task at hand, I will do what I was sent to do, but I will return to my father's house. And when I return to my father's house, I will bless Yah. Right? Isaiah 57:15. Thus says the high and lofty one that inhabits eternity, whose name is holy. I dwell in the high and holy place, with him also that is of a contrite and humble spirit, to revive the spirit of the humble, and to revive the heart of the contrite ones. Amen? Amen. All right, let's all stand. Well, if this teaching has blessed you, I want you to check out our other resources. You can check out our website at www.ruachonline.com. And there's links there to other resources that are available to you, other teachings, other books, other offerings. You can go to YouTube, Facebook, all of these things from our website, and check us out, because if they enjoyed this teaching, there's going to be much more that hopefully will bless you as well. Thank you. Hi, this is Dr. David Jones from Ruach Ministries International, and I've got some exciting news for you. We have a new series coming out, 6-part series of the Gospel according to Abraham. Abraham? What does he got to do with the gospel? Well, you're going to have to find out, aren't you? The thing is, Galatians 3 says that the gospel was proclaimed to Abraham. So what does that mean for a believer today? What does that mean to a person who is not Jewish? What does that mean to a person who is Jewish? What does that mean for all of us today? Well, check it out. It's a good series, and it'll be coming your way soon. For more information, you can check out our website at www.ruachonline.com. Hi, this is Dr. David Jones here. I just want to say we do have some other resources available to you, one of which is a book entitled Famine, Walking in Blessing in the Time of Famine. It's based out of Amos 8, 11, and 12, talking about there's a famine of hearing the word of the Lord. So what is that famine? Does it mean the word of the Lord is not being proclaimed, or does it mean there's a famine of actually listening to it? Food for thought, isn't it? Well, if you want to know more, check it out. Go to www.ruachonline.com, and there's a link on our homepage. Just click and it'll take you to more information on the book entitled Famine, Walking in Blessing in a Time of Famine. Well, how important are the feasts of the Lord? I think we can say that if the Lord set out a banquet, set out a table, and invited you to come be a partaker, would we answer? Would we hear? Would we go? Or would we blow him off because we have something more important to do? Well, that's what this book is. The King invites you to his table. Are we going to answer the call? The feast of the Lord, appointed times where the Lord has said he wants to meet with us face to face. Will we heed? Will we answer? Will we go? Check it out, www.ruachonline.com. On the homepage, there is a link to take you for more information. The King invites you to his table.